it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts again. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today is another shaker card. It seems to be a bit of a theme on Saturday at the moment. However, this is one that doesn't have sequins with holes in the middle, because I know some people, and myself included on occasion, do find that sequin holes are a bit of an issue, because sequins have holes because they're supposed to be attached to something. So the hole kind of just feels a bit odd. It's just a bit sad that some of us are like that. But anyway, it meant that I could have a go at something a bit different. So this is using bits of paper that have been cut and punched from one of the sheets of the Pick a Pattern designer series paper. And this is a piece of that. So all I've done with this is just cut out some of these little shapes, and then with the 1/4 inch circle punch, I just punched some of the patterny bits and popped those into a little shaker element. And I've used a frame that's kind of like a Polaroid. So let me show you how I did this, and we'll do it in a slightly different colourway. Same basic principle, but just slightly different. As ever, you know me, I generally, not always, but generally like to change things up just a wee bit. So let us begin. So as I say, we're using the Pick a Pattern paper and the Pieces and Patterns stamp set. Then I have got, let's start from the back of my bits and move forward. Always a plan, really. Now, as ever, all of the dimensions will be on the associated blog post, and there's a link to that below, just in the YouTube description. If you click on, there should be a little bit that says more, and that will give you the link. And it will also give you links to all of the products I've used, because obviously if you want to make this, it would be lovely if you would shop with me, because that would just be great. So we have got, and I have prepared some of this because it does take a wee while. We've got a piece of crushed curry cardstock that I have cut. It's an A4 piece cut in half to A5, scored down the middle of that to make an A6 card base. And I have then used the Woodland Texture embossing folder to emboss. I did the same on this one, which was Flirty Flamingo. This is embossed, and this is debossed. Doesn't matter, you know, it's up to you which way you do it. Both work really well, and they bring out different features, I think. So that's that. And you just run it through on your ordinary platform without the thin die adapter. Just run it between the two cutting plates, and you just sandwich, have your card flat, sandwich the two, sandwich this between the embossing folder and run it through. Simple, simple. So the Polaroid, for want of a better word, is a piece of thick whisper white, and that's cut at 3 by 3.5 inches. I will have the metric in the information in the associated blog post below, so don't worry about any of these dimensions. So that's 3 by 3.5, I said, didn't I? Yes, 3 by 3.5. I've got a piece of ordinary whisper white for some stamping that is again 3 by 3.5, and a piece of window sheet that you obviously won't be able to see particularly, I'll flash it, which is cut at 3 inches square. Then I've got a piece of Emerald Envy. On the previous one I did, it was Sahara Sand, and this is cut at 3.25 by 3 3/4, and then a piece of the designer series paper that is the flip side, and that is also cut at 3.25 by 3 3/3 by 3.25. So those two are the same size. So let's get started. I'm going to start by building my window, for which I'm going to use my good friend the silicone mat, because it is just so much easier to use fuse if you've got your silicone mat. So what I'm going to do is just run this so that the edge of the fuse is just at the edge of the window, and then I'm just going to flip that over, because the little bit that will have stuck out, you can then just flip over. And I've got an irritating, for some unknown reason, other than we have 3 cats, cat hair. So again, along there, and whoo, and it is very sticky because it's fast fuse. So just flip that over. We'll be able to rub that away in a minute, so don't worry too much. And then on the last edge, and again, just flip that over. And the very last one you don't need to worry too much about, because obviously it's just on the bottom there. So that's all good. Then get your window sheet and, whoops, cat hair everywhere. Just line that up across the top, and because it's square, that should fit perfectly. So that's good. And then what I do is just rub, whilst it's on the silicone mat, just rub along the edge with my finger, just to get the last little bits of fuse off, because you can, and they do. So there we are. Just get those last little bits. There we go. Good. So we don't need that anymore. And I don't think we need the fuse anymore. So actually, I will bring the silicone mat back, because I've got a little bit of the fuse sticking out at the bottom. So I will still use the silicone mat, because then I know that things won't attach. So I'm just going to bring out my archival black ink pad, and this is the where is it? Enjoy Today stamp. So I'll just get that nicely inked up, and I tend to do a bit of a twizzle and then a tap. Just make sure that looks properly inked, and it does. And just down in the bottom corner, hold that in place for a couple of seconds, and there we are. So that's that. Don't need that anymore, so I'll pop that back in my magic box of tricks. And I'm just going to clean my stamp quickly, because the basic black does have a tendency to stain. It definitely stains the photopolymer. But if you clean it quickly on the red rubber, you can generally stop it from staining too badly. So there we are, that's nice and clean. You can still use it stained, it won't cross-pollinate, cross whatever. But yeah, just best to do that. Right, so now that that's done and basically dry, I'm going to build the back. And for that, I'm using our foam adhesive strips. Now what I tend to do is, with my embossing buddy, I run my embossing buddy along the edge of the strip that I'm going to use, if I'm going to use it for a shaker card. It just means that if there is any stick along this edge, then it's less likely to attach itself to the bits of shaker. You can't get, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but it's better than not. Of course, it would be lovely if I could separate the two pieces. There we go. There we go. Just take that up. Didn't really want the two bits to separate just yet, but never mind. Let's just stick that back. Right, so I'm actually going to start at the top. Because the bits that we are using are reasonably solid, actually that's not terribly straight, let's try that again. So it's not glitter or, you know, teeny weeny sequins. The importance of a very good match is not as important, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to make sure I've got both sides of the strip with my embossing buddy. And then another one there. It's just that so the paper pieces won't run away like glitter would. So you want a neat edge, but it's not quite so important that it's absolutely married up, because the bits aren't going to go anywhere. Right, so I don't need that little bit. Pop that back and then pull up this instead. Just get that with a bit of embossing buddy. And of course it's not going to want to play either, because why would it on camera? There we go. I'm going to try and keep that still attached, because then it'll stick back in the right place again. So another one. Now obviously in the privacy of your own home you can be a little less cack-handed, but that was very cack-handed. And then I'm going to put another piece just at the bottom here, just so that the bottom of our little Polaroid is properly supported. Now what I should mention, you're going to be wondering how I got my Polaroid. It'd be useful if I told you, really, wouldn't it? So this is cut with what I would call the 7th square from my layering squares. I start with 1 as the smallest, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So it was this one that I just laid into my piece of thick Whisper White, just to cut this Polaroid shape. So nothing more exciting than that, really. If you're very good with a trimmer, or really, really, really good with a craft knife and a ruler, then you could use those. But I'm not, so I haven't. So I have pre-cut my little pieces. I've not only pre-cut them, I've pre-put them in the bag. And they're even almost the right way up. So rather than having to, come on, out you come. The reason I'm doing this slightly cack-handed is I've put them in the bag, but with the sticky piece of the bag facing up, which was not terribly bright. So all I'm doing, it doesn't matter too much if the Emerald Envy side shows, but the general idea was for it not to. So this might be a little over full, but it'll be fine, I'm sure. So then take off the strips from the foam strips, and by strips off the foam strips I mean the backing strips. Can't believe we're on 12 minutes already, but we're nearly done actually. Oh, and I've just realised what I haven't done, so I will continue doing this and then I will do the bit I forgot, which is the stamping. You know, that would be useful, wouldn't it? So I'll pop that just up there. Right, so with your piece of, oh, if I had a brain I'd be dangerous. With your piece of ordinary Whisper White, I'm taking the Flirty Flamingo, because Flirty Flamingo, Crushed Curry, Emerald Envy and Sahara Sand are the 3 colours in the paper, and I'm taking this little dotty pattern. Previously I used this one, but this time I'm using this little dotty pattern, and I'm just going to very, you know, randomly stamp a background. I don't need to worry too much about going right to the edge, because some of it will be covered up, or the edge rather will be covered up, so I'm not too worried about that. But I will, you know, try and make sure there isn't an obvious line around the outside of the stamping, because we don't like obvious lines. But this is very much a question of just random, some of it at an angle, stamping. So, you know, on the running description of what the weather's like in South Oxfordshire, today it seems to think it's somewhere in the Midwest and is blowing something approaching a hurricane. I mean, obviously not like a real hurricane like you guys in the Midwest would have to put up with, but it really is ridiculously windy. And it's August. We don't tend to have wind in August, and we don't, you know, it's supposed to be our summer. However, here we are. Right, so that's that done. So let me line this up. Did I take that one off? Yes, I did. Let me line this up. And this is, again, one of those things where you guys being in the way doesn't really help the shining hour. but it'll be fine. And there we are. Oh, all of my little pieces floating around. So that's that done. Now all we've got to do is build the card. Yay! So our card base, and the first thing I'm going to do is stick down my Emerald Envy pattern. Oh, and I've just realised I've got Emerald Envy on Emerald Envy. That was not the brightest thing to do, was it? Oh well, we're doing it. So there we are. Because that's what I prepared. It might have been better to do... yeah, I might actually change that out and bring in some Flirty Flamingo, because that just irritates me now. So that I'm going to put at an angle. And I'm just going to quickly cut myself a piece of Flirty Flamingo. I'm hoping I've got a scrap sitting by. That's not big enough. That will be. So, sorry about this, but here we go. Right, stamping trimmer, and I want it at 3 1/4 by 3 3/4, so 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. That's better. Whew. Hate it when that happens. Plan everything and you get it wrong. There you go. Life's like that sometimes. Right. And this I'm going to have a jaunty angle that way. And then this I am going to stick on so that it's straight. And yep, that's straight-ish. And then the final addition is with a glue dot. I've got a little piece of black baker's twine tied in a little bow, and I'm just going to take a glue dot, fold it in half, or thereabouts, just get it into a smaller bit, pop it where I want my bow, and then just pop my bow on top. And there we go! Yay! So, oh, that wasn't too bad for me, 17 minutes. So there we go, 2 shaker cards without sequin holes. I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, if you would like to get the products, I would love it if you shopped with me. That really does help me. So that would be great. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscription button. And then you'll get an alert for when my next video comes out. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Christmas, the Carols of Christmas stamp set and dies are now available. Details of that are on my website, link below. It's an early release for the autumn winter catalogue, so if you want to get ahead with your Christmas cards, do hop over to my online store and grab those. As ever, the best deal in the catalogue is the joining kit. I call it a membership fee. So for £99 you become a member of this amazing Stampin' Up family, and a member of my team, and we give you, for £99, we will give you free £31 of product. So you actually get £130 of product in exchange for your £99, but effectively you get £31 of free product for your £99. So it would be lovely to welcome you as a member, and hopefully I will say hello to you very soon. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you soon.